All right. Guys, will you please open your comp books to your symbols chart?
Oh,
Man.
I want you to look it over and choose one that you feel like you could have something to say about, that you want to explore a little bit further during today's class period. I'm going to give you just 30 seconds. Look down the list. Which one do you need to explore further?
Are you sneezing? Bless you. Yes, thank you. Thank you.
no, she's not.
Yeah,
Those are your glasses.
Green. Green.
Your glasses.
I'm green.
Green only has two. Green only has two.
You know what?
All right, there's your 30 seconds. Hopefully you all mentally chose one.
Yep.
One of the reasons that we are tracking those symbols is because I want you guys to be able to practice thinking symbolically. There is the surface level story happening right now where there's Gatsby and he's rich and he's in love with Daisy and she's married to Tom. That's like any soap opera could tell that story, right? But there are so many layers of meaning that Fitzgerald is not saying directly to the reader. You have to read between the lines, you have to think symbolically in order to get all the different things that he's talking about, okay? So, what I'm going to do, I found a passage that really stood out to me in this book, and I'm going to talk to you about how I would take it apart symbolically, and then you guys are going to get the opportunity to do the same thing with your passages you just chose. Okay? Brandon, you look confused? You good? Okay. So, this is my passage. Very short. I'm just going to read it to you really quickly so you know where I am. This is at that first party that Nick goes to. You don't know who we are, said one of the girls in yellow, but we met you here about a month ago. You've dyed your hair since then, remarked Jordan, and I started. But the girls had moved casually on, and her remark was addressed to the premature moon, produced like the supper, no doubt, out of a caterer's basket. With Jordan's slender golden arm resting in mine, we descended the steps and sauntered about the garden. A tray of cocktails floated at us through the twilight, and we sat down at a table with the two girls in yellow and three men, each one introduced to us as Mr. Mumble. By the way, whoever asked about the three Mr. Mumbles, it wasn't until I saw this that I was like, oh, there's the Mumbles. All right. Okay, guys. So, why did I choose this passage? This is the first thing. Hope that you guys are noticing as you chart that part of the whole thing is repetition. I want to show you guys the repetition that's happening here. The girls are in yellow. Oh, two girls in yellow. And Jordan's slender golden arm. Yellow, yellow, yellow. It's like this big, literally flashing light, right? Yellow light maybe? That's saying, look at me, I have something to say. Something's happening here. Okay? Hi, Dia, wake up, hon. Thank you. So what I did was I said, okay, if I'm seeing yellow, what are some of the meanings of yellow? Sun, health, bright, money, because I was thinking about that word, gold, youth. All right, if this is some of the meanings of yellow, which of these meanings makes the most sense in this context?
Money and you.
Money and maybe youth. So that's the lens I'm going to think about this from. So, repetition, I noticed, that's what drew my attention to the passage. Then I thought, okay, if I'm thinking symbolically, I'm going to think of it through the lens of money or youth. Here's something that is jumping out at me. You don't know who we are, said the girls. You've dyed your hair since then, and each one is introduced to us as Mr. Mumble. The reason that this jumped out at me, and just so you know what I'm looking at is my own notes, because I wanted to be prepared for you guys. The reason that this stood out to me is because the girls in yellow are talking to Jordan, and they say to her, you don't know who we are. Like, they literally put themselves below her. You're not even, Jordan doesn't even have to pay attention to them. You don't know who we are, but we think you're awesome. We think you're great. We saw your golf tournament. And then she says to them, you've dyed your hair since then. Which seems like kind of a rude thing to say, and I know that it's rude because Nick starts. It says, I started. He goes, that was rude. But they had just moved on. And then, one more thing that puts Jordan above everybody else, and Nick, each one introduced to us as Mr. Mumble. Their names are literally not even worth paying attention to. So not worth paying attention to the name. And Jordan is better, and Jordan is rude to them. Both of these things, the fact that they don't have to pay attention to the name and that Jordan is better and rude to them, this lets me know this is all about money. Who has the class? Who has the status? Do I hear a question out here in the we good? Okay. Who has the class? Who has the status? One more thing that lets me know that this is all about money is that Nick takes the time to remind us, oh, remember what an awesome party I'm at. There's caterers. They're walking around this big, beautiful garden. There's trays of cocktails floating around. Money, 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 money. Okay. This is Gatsby's wealth, right? All right. One thing that I am noticing, too, I just noticed this, like literally right now, I don't even have this on my notes. The golden arm is resting in mine, so Nick is chosen by the golden girl. So she's literally like saying, you're good enough for me, I'm going to choose you. Interesting. Okay. So here's some of my thoughts. Now, this is my writing, my understanding of this symbol, based on the things that I noticed and pulled out of that. Nick is literally surrounded by money. The two girls in yellow are one level of money, but they're there to fawn over the literally golden girl. The repetition of the symbolic yellow serves to draw attention to the overall richness enveloping Nick. And I could write more about that with that whole bit about the caterers and the cocktails. Jordan, another reminder of wealth, class, and status. The girls in Mere Yellow also look up to the golden Jordan, another reminder of wealth, class, and status being incredibly important. That's one of the themes that we're seeing over and over and over about how important money is. There's yellow, that's okay, that's fine, but then there's gold. And Jordan is gold status. Okay? So, your goal right now is to open your books and that symbol chart to whichever one that you just chose. I'll just give you a second to look at them and choose. And I want you to get together with a partner who has your same color or symbol, and I want you to take apart your two passages together. Okay? So for example, if Lourdes and Arcelia have chosen the same one, I might challenge you to choose different partners, for example, okay? Take the time to analyze 2 different passages. Same thing I just did. What does the color, what does the symbol mean in this context? And what does that mean? What's the under story? What's the under message? Because I'm noticing the symbols.